Aberrations of hate, violence, and greed, beholders are otherworldly vessels of narcissism and pride. An alien creature, the beholder possesses a spheroid body with several eye stalks surrounding a central, bulging eye and a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. No two beholders are the same, however. Some might be covered in naturally occurring armored plates, others might have fewer or more eye stalks than some. Regardless of their features, or lack thereof, a beholder considers itself to be the pinnacle of beholder kind. They not only hate the other creatures of the world, but other beholders as well. Even minor differences in appearance are enough to set two beholders against each other for a lifetime, or even cause them to fight to the death. Due to their overwhelming sense of superiority, beholders see themselves surrounded by enemies. When they sleep, they'll close their central eye but leave their eye stalks open, writhing in all directions at all times to maintain constant vigilance. Beholders are convinced every creature resents them for their innate magical prowess and abilities, and so many will seek to make their lairs far from civilized lands and ancient ruins, dark caverns, and other locations difficult for potential enemies to seek out. Beholder lairs are often as complex and as strange as their creators. The beholder will carve out their lair using their disintegration ray and make massive chasms layered upon one another, with a latticework of vertical and winding tunnels usually only accessible to itself as a manner of quick navigation or escape should a beholder find its lair invaded. In accordance with their arrogance, beholders will often litter their spaces with trophies of their conquests over lesser beings, rare artifacts, petrified adventurers, and even pieces of other beholders. Sometimes, beholders will take their superiority and xenophobia to the maximum level. These eye tyrants will instead choose to make their lairs in populated places, like cities, and begin enslaving the local inhabitants. These beholders, if left unchecked, will eventually found vast and often literal underground empires built on the backs of the once free folks of their domain. As if beholders weren't already terrifying enough, perhaps the most horrific manifestation of their kind would be the Death Tyrant. Death Tyrants come into being when a sleeping beholder dreams about a time when it could go on persisting after death. In these moments, the beholder can involuntarily begin a gruesome transformation. Its flesh melts away, its eye stalks shrivel and decay, and what is left is but a massive floating skull with a pinpoint of light in its great eye, and spectral eyes hovering where the beholder's eye stalks used to be. After becoming a Death Tyrant, the former beholder unlocks the ability to manifest a negative cone of invisible energy from its central eye. It can use this to turn former slaves and enemies into mindless zombies completely subservient to its will. These zombies are created and discarded as needed, often serving as trap bait or fodder as they distract the potential enemies of the Death Tyrant while the monstrosity moves to a safer position. When a Death Tyrant is born, it becomes a near unstoppable machine of death and destruction. Craving dominance, control, and security even more than a living beholder, the Death Tyrant will embark upon murderous campaigns against nearby humanoid settlements. It uses its magical eye rays to eradicate the residents before raising them to join the ranks of its undead army. If left to their own devices for too long, Death Tyrants can wipe out cities or even regions of densely populated areas within weeks as they continuously build up their undead army to unimaginable numbers in an effort to secure their holdings and dominate all life. On occasion, summoners can manifest a lesser cousin of a beholder known as a Spectator. As the name implies, these entities are often summoned to guard a specific treasure or location, never allowing anyone access besides its summoner or those its summoner permits. While smaller than a beholder and possessing only 4 eye stalks, Spectators are still a force to be reckoned with. They guard their assigned location zealously for 101 years, only leaving their post when its term of service is complete, or the item or location they're guarding is stolen or destroyed. In those 2 instances, a Spectator simply vanishes back to its plane of origin. Similar to their larger cousins, Spectators see themselves as the epitome of their kind, and 2 Spectators encountering one another almost always results in a vicious fight to the death. Unlike the beholder, Spectators are quite civil to those who encounter it and don't interfere with its protective duties. However, only a short conversation would be required to see the small cracks in the Spectator's mind brought upon by years of isolation. inventing imaginary friends or enemies, impersonating their summoner, and even speaking in the third person are just some of the quirks one might perceive from a Spectator. When the Spectator's services have been completed, it's free to do as it pleases, though often they'll take up residence in the place they've been guarding simply out of convenience. Without a sense of duty to keep its mind in check, the quirks that may have developed within the Spectator now have the opportunity to flourish and grow, no longer beholden to the distractions of its work. That'll do it for this one, guys. I hope you adventurers and dungeon masters learned a little bit more about the fascinating Beholder today. If you liked what you saw, drop a like, subscribe, comment what you want to see next, because I'm going to float on out of here. More stuff to come, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.